Morning, Mr. Hill. How we doing?
All right, look. Christmas jumper with a pudding on it, and I've got little balls on it as well.
Yeah, you're way more festive than me because I can even see like little Christmas. Is that like a little Christmas house or something back there or something?
It's like a little star. Actually, that is a. My wife won a singing competition, a Stars in Their Eyes, as Kate Bush.
Really?
Yes, she's really good actually. Not that I'm surprised, obviously, because she's really good. Because obviously she is.
Does she watch this on LinkedIn? Because you could be in trouble now.
I know. And they might be Christmas candles. What else have I got here? Also, what have I got hidden? And over this side, look at that.
I can't see what that is.
It's gin, bottles of gin.
Gin. All right. Well, that's quite appropriate.
Exactly.
Good little. I don't know what they'd call that. If this was like been more professional, was doing some sort of. Is it a tedious link when you link something into something? So very
yes,
good link to that. Yeah.
Tenuous,
not tedious. It could be tedious. We'll see how this plans out, but hopefully it's tenuous. So look, guys, the title is how to have your beer and eat it. So we're going to talk about alcohol today. Obviously, it seems like quite an appropriate time leading up to Christmas, New Year. So we're just going to have a little discussion on alcohol. We did want to be on a little bit early to kind of get a game plan out, but we couldn't because the internet wasn't working. So, you got to roll with it.
Yep.
Oasis song. So we are going to roll with it and going to talk about, like alcohol, obviously not just beer, but alcohol and the effect it can have on your body and just give you some thoughts, some experiences from us, our clients, and go from there. Probably talk a little bit about dry January and let's go then, Mr. Hill.
Yeah. It's an interesting one because it's one of those things that I would never. I mean, I enjoy beer. I enjoy drink, and I'd never want people to not have to drink if it's part of their kind of life and culture or whatever. But here's a question for you, Michael. Do you know what the safe limit of alcohol is?
The safe limit, is that like daily or weekly, or is there a daily safe limit? Like,
exactly, I don't know, the government or scientific safe limit of alcohol.
I think it's weekly, isn't it? And isn't it something like 7 units?
Oh, do you know what it is, Michael?
Less 5.
Zero. So they've done. So this is the kind of scientific body. This is everything coming together. There used to be like the limit that the government would say, "Oh, this is what you should be drinking to be okay." But actually, science says now that actually the safe limit of alcohol is 0. So whatever you drink, statistically, it will have a detrimental effect to your health. So again, that's just knowledge is power, isn't it? Then we're informed and we go, okay, we can make a decision here.
All right, but what about because there used to be obviously like you have like half a glass of red wine in the evening because of the antioxidants and things like that. That's good for you, right?
Again, if you look at the science behind red wine and the things inside red wine, is it the tannins? Maybe I think it might be the tannins which are good for you. They've done studies on using animals to study the benefits of those chemicals on your body, and it was something like to get the same amount of those chemicals to see the benefit, it was equivalent to about 25 bottles of wine a day to get the chemical that was beneficial to the health of that in that study. So it's one of those headlines, which is kind of wine's good for you. And then, but you never get to the bottom and said actually, or you actually probably that's not even in there. So if you go to the scientific studies and have a look at it, which sadly, my more boring moments I have done, so that doesn't really.
That is interesting though, because you do hear these things like like a small glass of red wine in the evening is good for you. Because I thought it was an antioxidant, so there's some goodness in there, but it's probably like anything, you can probably get that from something else, and it's probably going to be way more effective. Then, and also like how many people probably have a small half a glass of red wine in the evenings, it's going to turn into one bigger one because I deserve it, or I've had a hard day, or the influence of the environment around you, because that also like plays a factor, doesn't it? So there's a lot of things that go into alcohol. So that's interesting. So 0 units. I think there's probably going to be quite a few people on this who are like slightly devastated by that.
I know, but it's like we do lots of things that aren't I don't know, perfect. I mean, what is perfect? But anyway, but this it's just you have to make a judgment call, don't you? It's like for me, after I love sailing, and after I love going to the yacht club after sailing and having a beer and chatting to my mates, and it's all part of the thing. And I would never not want to do that. Same after rugby, I want to have a chat, sit with my mum and have a beer and all that. I wouldn't ever want to do that. So I have to make a judgment call. Do you know what? I know it's not. The effects on my life is going to be minimal compared to, I don't know, when I spent my childhood in pubs that were full of smoke. I have a open fire in my house, which is bad for my lungs. And you have to make a call, don't you? We can't live our lives like monks.
Yeah, of course. I think it always comes back to that word of balance. I think you look at like when it comes to food, but you need a good. The key to me is balance, like not too extreme on either end. Even when it comes to exercise, you don't want to be in the gym all the time or whatever unless you're going to be an athlete or on stage. You got to have that balance because that's the key. So alcohol, I think it comes down to balance and a little bit of like control as well. And I'm the same. Like I enjoy a drink on a Saturday night after playing football with the lads. Like it's part of, first of all, it's part of probably like English culture and like football culture. And I don't have to be honest. And there's been times where, not many, but there's been times where like I'll have a Diet Coke because I'm having a couple of weeks off. But it's part of, it's not just, to be honest, it's not about the alcohol really. It's more about being with the lads and talking about the game and that bonding and a little bit of banter and stuff. And it's something that I've been doing now. I'm going to obviously not from under nine. So we didn't go to the pub at under nines level, but once we started to get a bit older, like under 17, under 18, because you're then going to play with the older lads and they all go down the pub and you start growing up with it. Have you got any like interested, what actually let's go from here to like, let's talk about in terms of like clients, like what do you talk about with your clients when it comes to alcohol?
Well, I mean, it doesn't, unless it's a specific, say, problem, it doesn't usually come up for the first few weeks. And then, say, as things start to move, it'd be like, right, what could we look at now? And then more often than not, they might bring it up and say, I'm a bit concerned about how much I'm drinking. I don't drink very much. I don't think I do. I don't drink as much as other people, but I'd like to look at it. And kind of one particular client at the beginning of the year, when it was even before he'd signed up and we're talking about like, what would work on, what was his problems, what were his struggles. And we worked out that he was actually, calories wise, he was going to spend more than the cost of my program in the 12 weeks, but also calories wise, he was consuming an extra 2 days worth of calories in alcohol every single week. Mm-hmm. So obviously, if you're trying to lose weight, that's a big kind of surplus to try and to get rid of any other way, unless you're going to work on that. And also, why would you be drinking that amount? There might be other reasons. It's quite often people say, and just enjoy a drink, but actually maybe there's another reason there.
Yeah, and also like if you're thinking 2 days worth of extra calories, that means if you're still drinking that amount and you're going to try and get that back in terms of exercise,
it's just not going to. I mean,
but that's only going to break you even anyway.
Yeah. I mean,
you're literally like trying to run uphill in like treacle with like a flipping 50-kilogram backpack on. You're just never going to get there, and you probably just have that vicious cycle again. Do you think the thing is as well though, I don't think, I mean I could be wrong, but I don't think a lot of people know how many calories are actually in alcohol.
I think there's a worry that if they looked, if they saw kind of, they wouldn't like it.
Calories in alcohol don't count.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I do. I mean, I in my 20s, I did drink far too much, and I wasn't particularly healthy, and I got the body that resulted from that. And I do remember not really wanting to think about the calories in alcohol, and actually maybe not forgetting about them, but I would, like, for example, I wouldn't have tea because I know I was going out. And then I would definitely drink more than my calories would have been my 500 calorie tea or whatever.
Yeah.
And also when some people I know you know, some bottles and stuff have calories on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, people don't like reading it. Well, we don't like reading it because it's like, we have to face the fact that it's on there. And
I haven't seen many actually talking about
many.
that. Yeah, I've not seen many. So I wonder if that would have more of an impact, because we got it, like we talked about it last week. You have the calories now on a food menu. So you make that choice. Like when you go into a bar now, if you want to, you obviously can use MyFitnessPal. So you can know some beers are higher calories than others, and some spirits are lower calories, and wines and different things. So you could, in theory, if you wanted to, find that out before you went out and decide what you wanted to drink to have less calories. But I wonder if you did go to a supermarket, if you had like obviously all the beers and the wines, if it told you how many units were in per mils or whatever, 100 mils, so we could figure it out a little bit easier. I wonder if that would have an effect.
Yeah, I think it probably. I mean, it's the same as menus. You know, I don't know, but as menus of a certain restaurant of a certain size has to have calories on their menu. I'm not sure whether they have to have alcohol calories on there as well. I think it would change people's
I don't think I've
behaviors.
ever seen it.
No, I think it would change. It would change behavior. We'd have to get used to looking at it, because I know there's always a little bit of a, if we're facing something that makes us, that we don't like, there's always a bit of it's kind of spoiling my beers now that I've worked out that 5 beers is 1,000 calories, and that's half my daily intake, and I have those.
That's the eye-opening thing, especially when it comes to beer. So like, I've had these conversations with clients, and like I'm the same as you. I don't recommend that anyone necessarily gives up alcohol, but you might want to look at what is the effect and the impact it's having on you. And if it is every Sunday you're hungover, every Monday you're struggling at work, you don't really get going to Tuesday, Friday's a bit of a quieter day, and sometimes you go out on a Thursday, there's that knock-on effect, and it's affecting your performance and your sleep, and your stress levels are higher, and you've got all those things going on. It may be something to look at, could you make some changes? But then the conversations I have, there's some beers you can have a pint in that might be like 240, 250 calories. And there's other ones that are a bit lower, like I think Amstel and some of the lighter beers that can be like 150 to like 160, 70, 80 calories. So you might just be looking at making some smarter choices. The same as when we talked about the food last week. If you had the calories on the menu, you just get to make those choices. The funny thing is, though, look, I have a bit of a laugh with my clients, and they'll go, it'd be funny, but like, yeah, I can even have 5 beers of a higher percentage, or I can have 7 of a lower amount of calories. And it's like, well, not really what we're kind of looking at, really. It'd be like more thinking about more like having that control. Because I think once you get past that point, you've had too many, you're going to be tired the next day, hungover, probably not going to make the best decisions on food the next day or even that night. And also that sort of vicious, like, oh, I did it again.
One of my clients used to call it his wind shadow. He was a sailor, and he used to call it the wind shadow. He'd have a full on kind of Friday, Saturday night, and it would just affect his Sunday, and he'd still feel a bit kind of sluggish on a Monday. It'd change what he ate, and he would get to like Tuesday before he's like, right, I'm back on form again. And it does have that kind of that shadow effect, and that is going to change your decisions. It's like when I used to work away. God, I used to love going to get like a really dirty burger on the day after, kind of like a massive burger and chips and all that. And because your body's kind of like craving something, and
it does,
and it wants high calorie stuff because your body's fighting all the basically the poison that we've filled our bodies with, and it wants something that is going to give us a high fat, high kind of calorie hit to give us a bit of a fighting chance to get over that fight that it's having.
We do crave the higher fatty, higher sugary foods because we want obviously get our salts and all things like that back the next day. So it does really have a knock-on effect. Obviously, like I said, we haven't really had much of a discussion on this. Like, have you had a period of time where you've taken a little bit of time off alcohol, and what's been the effects for you? Because I have, and it'll be good to have a little chat. Like, how have you done a period of time? And when I say a period of time, it doesn't necessarily need to be a long time, just a period of time where maybe it's been enough to notice the difference?
Well, yeah. I mean, I thinking back to when I used to work offshore. I used to have enforced periods of time. So I might be away for a month, and there is no alcohol.
Yeah.
And I do remember kind of, because I used to drink when I was back onshore, thinking, oh, it's not how nice it was to wake up every morning, kind of without a hangover, and how bad the first hangover was. But you had to kind of, it was like, I need to get over that first hangover, then I'll be okay and I'll push on. And that kind of, I was in that kind of habit. But yeah, I guess now, because I do drink a lot less, and I actually maybe enjoy the drinks that I have more, like a glass of mulled wine. I really enjoy that, and I don't miss the hangovers. And it's like when I think back to my person then, I can't believe it feels weird to think of me now doing that, and putting myself into that state. And
I think what you talked about a second ago is really important, though. Like, I have a drink now because there's something that I like. I really enjoy drinking. That, I think that's actually really important. I think sometimes we don't think about what we're doing because we're just busy, and it's an environment or a culture thing. So I think that's a real important point to say. Yeah, I enjoy a glass of wine. Yeah, like either in the evening or once you watch your kids play rugby and you enjoy having a nice beer because it's an enjoyment and you're having that control. It's like one or two that I'm enjoying, a bit like eating a few biscuits or like some cake or something. I'm going to eat it and I enjoy it and I'm not going to feel bad. Whereas if you ate the whole packet, you might go, oh fuck it. Sorry, swearing's a bit early. Like, I've lost control and I shouldn't have done that, and then it has that knock-on effect.
So it's taken me a while to get that to get that control and be like totally okay with it, and actually be able to go, do you know what, I've had enough. Whereas I've definitely been swept along with the crowd, and I have one more.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like, I'll have a half, and then a pint arrives, and you think, oh, you fucking want me a pint? I'll drink anyway. And it's like, I've been swept along with the crowd.
Yeah, 100%. And also, like, I've done a few periods of time where I've had not a long time off, but normally I'll have a little bit of time off leading up to Christmas because I know Christmas is going to be lots going on, and it's so interesting when you have those first one or two nights out and someone would be like, do you want a beer? And I'm like, no, I'm just having a coffee today. And then I just look at you like you've lost your mind. Yeah. And it's like, no, I'm just having a few weeks off. Like, it's all good. Are you sure? And you got that. And to be honest, like, I just think it's part of like how we are, like human nature. If something changes, it's a bit different. People will just ask questions, and I'm cool with it. But I can imagine if you've given up or you're really struggling with it. I'm pretty strong, and I'm just like, no, don't be silly. It's cool. Like, but I think other people could potentially fold and just go, oh, do you know what? I just have a beer, and you've got to be really strong to do that. Or if you actually do have a problem and you are really trying to give up because it's not serving you, and you're not in a good place with alcohol, imagine what that must feel like. I have a bit of time off just because I think it's not a bad thing to have a bit of time off. But if you've actually got a real struggle and then you've got that environment going, oh, just one beer, it won't hurt. Come on, just have a small one. That's got to be tough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think again. I can only speak from my experience. A lot of my friendship group was in the pub, whether it was after sailing, whether it was just in the pub. So when I started drinking less, and obviously I didn't go to the pub, it did get, I must admit, I was a little bit lonely. And I'm thinking, where have my friends gone? And I knew where they were. They were in the pub. But I didn't want to do that. And I knew that if I went along and I had one, I was definitely unable to just have the one. And I would probably have the one and the two, and then I'm probably the last person there. So it was hard. I had a hard couple of years of me going, do you know what? I don't want to do that, but I've got to find another way of. And I was single as well, so I had no one at home. So it was difficult to go through that transition.
Yeah, agree. It is, and it's hard to be that guy that's really strong and says, do you know what? I'll come and I will have one or I'll have none. and I'll be okay with it. Because sometimes it's just easier to go, do you know what? I just won't put myself in that environment. But then you can, maybe your friendship circles and your social circles can potentially get a little bit smaller like that. I've seen it happen with some of my clients. Obviously, like, we always want to, guys, just if you are watching this replay or live, we always want to try and give you something to take away as well. So what I was thinking is, and this is what I got from my client. So, like, alcohol is not always an issue for our clients. You know, everyone has their bigger challenges, but I think alcohol is certainly a struggle for a lot of people, and it is going to have a massive impact. So what I normally do is, like, I'll ask clients, you know, what's their biggest challenge. Sometimes it's weekends, and then you delve into it. What's going on the weekend? It's normally alcohol and food and things going on. So I think if we're going to take away something from today, I'd be just looking at, like, how much do I drink for a week, and just almost mapping it out, like Monday to Sunday, and what does that look like? Just a normal, like, regular week. And this was really eye-opening when I had a client. This is about 3.5 years ago when I just first started. And, you know, we talked about alcohol. It was like week 1, week 2. And I said to him, like, how much do you drink? And he was like, oh, not much. And I was like, what's that mean? And he was like, oh, not much. I went, well, I was like, let's, for a bit of fun, should we just go through it? And he went, yeah, okay. And I actually don't think we had that conversation that day. I think he went away to think about it. And then the next week, so we had a call, and the next week I was like, do you know, we talked about alcohol last week. Like, did you do that? And he was like, yeah, I did actually. He was like, it's a lot more than I thought. I was like, right, okay. So we just literally, like, went through it. I'm not going to go through all the details, but it was like, I think it was something like he played tennis on a Monday and he had 2 beers Monday. I think Tuesday didn't do anything. We did a pub quiz on a Wednesday, 2 more beers. I think it was 2 more beers Friday after work. Cool. Like, again, no judgment. It was just more looking at it. Then he would go like, yeah, I'd normally have a bottle of Reds or a bottle of something Saturday. And then, oh yeah, we'd always have a bottle Sunday. And then we topped up. And I think we worked out it was like 10 beers through the week and 2 bottles of wine. And probably a bit like your dude who's eating 2 days worth of calories in liquid calories. Like, this was my dude too. And he was like, it is more than I thought. And that was it. It was just like that snap of, like, realization, awareness, like we talk about quite often, of, yeah, that's going to be hard to undo. Or if you're keeping that sort of amount of calories and alcohol, you're going to be struggling.
Yeah. And it doesn't take much to change. You say if anyone listening, you say if you drank, I don't know, say if your beers you drank 2 less beers a week, and maybe found another 100 calories elsewhere every single day, that's about a day's worth of calories there, just from those little changes. So I'm going to drink 2 less beers. I'm going to save a few hundred calories here, there. You've saved a day every single week. And that, if you, over time, nice and gently and slowly and easily, that will lead to you losing the weight. And that it just takes a little bit of time. You don't have to do massive changes. You have to give it all up. You don't have to say, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Just little changes here or there can have a big result just over time.
Yeah, I think that's, again, like, a really important point, because I think I can imagine there's some people going, like, it sounds like you, like, everything, like when it comes to a diet or like getting healthier, like, all the fun comes out of it. Oh, so now I've got to give up alcohol and got to give up all the foods that I enjoy. And it's like, it's not true. It's just about making those being conscious about what you are eating and drinking, and then making those choices. So yeah, of course, if you're struggling, you feel like you're drinking too much, there probably is a case of looking at drinking less. But then there's also different options of drinking lower calorie drinks. So spirits are way lower calories than beer. But then the mindset shouldn't be, well, I can have 20 of them just because you're having less. It should be like, that's a better choice, as less calories, because that's going to serve me maybe more, instead of just going, I can have 20. But again, like we say, like, making those conscious choices. And I think, again, like we talk about this often, it's just the awareness is one of the most important things. Like having that awareness of the effect, or like how much am I actually drinking? And I don't know, like, what do I want my health to look like? You know, what do I want my long-term health to look like? Is that potentially gonna have an effect? And also, if you're drinking a lot, you're probably going to struggle to get in the exact physical shape and mental that you want to be. It's just there's no ways of getting around that.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And if writing it down and creating that awareness makes you feel a certain way and negative, then I would maybe take that as a sign that there is something that you need to work on, because maybe you might not have a problem, but it makes you feel sad, kind of clocking it and writing it down. Then there is probably something you need to change.
Yeah, what's that saying? You don't have to have a problem with alcohol to have a problem with alcohol. Yeah, and look, I know I'm just conscious on time. We normally do. We've actually started doing a little bit longer because we love doing these, so it's all good. Yeah. So one thing I was just thinking, which is gone, but I'm sure it's going to come back. Yeah, just that awareness, and also just like questioning behaviors a little bit and habits. So I think that like, oh, I've had a long day. Oh, it's been stressful. And then without even thinking, just a beer comes out the fridge and no one drinks one. Let's not kid ourselves. No one drinks one. So it's going to lead to 2 to 3 to 4. But justifying it by like, yeah, but I deserve this. It's been a long day. It's been a stressful day. It's those thoughts aren't always going to serve you, and it's not necessarily true. So it'd be like, if that's always your go-to to manage stress, you've got to think about how you manage stress better, because that's not going to serve you long term. Because life's stressful right now, isn't it? There's so much going on, and if that's your go-to every night, 2 or 3 beers to relieve your stress, it's not going to serve you well long term or short term, to be honest.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because the stresses are still there once you sober up in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. It's about managing or figure out a different strategy to cope with that stress, or trying to get down to the root cause of the stress. You know, maybe you've got to, I don't know, have a word with someone at work and get communication going better. Like, you know, there's lots of things that can be going on. Anything else to add?
No, I can say I think the main thing is just, again, it's being aware of the situation you're in and actually clocking it. And the same thing you do in your work, you know where your numbers are in your work or your bank account. It's the same thing. Having a little look and saying, right, where am I? What's going on? What's the actual reality of the situation? And looking at it and going, do you know what? If you're not 100% happy with what you're seeing written down, then make some small changes. And again, it doesn't have to be massive. Drop off 1 drink a week. I mean, if you start off doing that and then successful doing that, drop off another one, and then, you know what, in a year or two's time, you will be in a better place.
Yeah, and 100%. Like, I agree. Like, all those little changes, making some better choices, and also, and this is what the guy I talked about earlier, who said he thought it was like the beer that he enjoyed, like either at the pub quiz or at the tennis or whatever the social event was, and he was like, actually, do you know what? Now I'm not drinking the beers. It's actually just seeing my mate down the pub. And he's like, I actually don't need the beer. It's more like actually seeing my friends. And I think we get so sort of like maybe a little bit lost in that I've got to go to the pub and have a drink, but you can just do the same thing, but maybe it's a different setting. Maybe it's you go for a walk, or maybe it's you go for a coffee. And it's so interesting that we have this sort of like culture, because I remember inviting a mate round to my house, and he wanted to have a drink, and I was like, just to give you a heads up, like I'm not going to drink like tomorrow. I just fancy a bit of a quiet night. And he went, do you want to rearrange them? And I was like, no, dude, come around and see my house.
I want to see you.
Yeah, like come around and see me. Let's just hang out. So it's just that interesting that culture, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
All right. Right, guys. So as always, we always appreciate your feedback and any questions. Like, we're going to keep going live on these every week. And if there's anything you want us to cover, or any topics, discussions, struggles, challenges, shout us, and we'll do a live on it. So yeah, that was good. Again, as always, we'll probably talk about this all day as well.
We could do.
Probably go into our like favorite drinks and all sorts.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thanks,
man. Thank you.